My mom was a single parent. She raised me and my sister on her own. Me and my mom are very similar, and so I think that we bump heads and we argue sometimes. And there was one argument where she told me it wasn't me who didn't want you, it was your dad. And I broke down, and it's probably the first time I ever had a panic attack. And every night after that, I would think about it, and just the thought about it made me tear up and start crying. And I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell my friends or my sister or my mom. And so they had invited me to church when I finally started going. And the first night there, the pastor said, "I feel like there's someone here who feels like their mom or dad didn't want them." And I was like, oh, I think he's talking to me. This is kind of weird. So the next day, everyone was worshiping, and it was this real intense ministry moment. And the leader started to pray over me, and in my heart, I was just like, I don't want to feel this pain anymore. And after that night, I went back in the room with my mom, my sister, and I told them that every night I had been crying because you told me that dad didn't want me. And for the first time, I said it so clear and so confident without crying. And I knew then that Jesus healed my heart. And that was my first encounter with Jesus. And after that, I was kind of all in. I think it took me a really long time to see God as my father. It was still such a long process of really forgiving my biological father, and learning that I don't have to have a in-person father figure to know what a father feels like. And I think the more I surrendered, the more I was able to see God as my dad. My mom owns her own business, but having business in New York City isn't easy. And so there were some really tough times where she just didn't always have enough for certain things. She always was able to provide for my sister and I, but there was moments where she had a bill due, and all of a sudden the day of, the money was there. Or my sister's college tuition, same thing, it didn't seem like we were gonna make it, but she always did, and it was because she faithfully gave to the church, and she didn't miss it no matter what. She always gave her tithe. And so I grew up seeing that, and I originally didn't tithe after I started working, but it wasn't until I came to C3 that I was like, all right, I know I've seen God work in my mom's life, and I've seen that he has always been able to provide no matter what, and so I'm just gonna follow those footsteps. And I decided to tithe faithfully at C3. And then hearing about Vision Builders, I was like, oh wow, this is so cool. I want to be a part of this too. And so I decided to pledge for Vision Builders. God kind of just shifted my heart, and I realized that I wanted my yes to be a yes of generosity and not a yes of just selfish things. And so really cool to see that I completed my pledge for Vision Builders. And so along with other people, we got to be a part of financially supporting our Queens location for the first year. Amongst other things of giving to other parts around the world, but just knowing that I got to see the fruit of what Vision Builders did for me in the community, as I walk in every day in Queens and I get to greet people and have conversations with people who are finding home in Queens, it's all because of our yes, and so it's really beautiful to see. I just want to be part of something greater, and I think it was just aligning my heart with God and letting go of who I was so I could fully be who God created me to be. And I think God creates us all to be generous people and to have a heart like his, and his heart is for the people.